Good afternoon. Welcome, everyone. It's great to have you with us. Just as a reminder, before we get started, this webinar is being recorded, and everyone's microphone at the moment has been set to mute. So if you do have a question, please encourage you to enter that into the Q&A section. Well, it's 12:30, so let's get into this. The whole subject around AI, artificial intelligence, it's a subject that's been around for many years, whether it's chatbots or automation tools. It's not a new thing. It's been around for a number of years. But what we're seeing now is something fundamentally different. With the arrival of tools like ChatGPT and Copilot and Claude and a few others, Gen AI it's evolving rapidly. And it's very, very quickly moving from a concept to reality and to developing capabilities. Adoption is accelerating, and for many organizations, it's no longer a pipe dream. In fact, it's becoming a competitive necessity. We're seeing it showing up in boardrooms, we're seeing it showing up in product roadmaps, and increasingly in the way that day-to-day work is getting done. But as with any shiny new tool, it raises some familiar questions. What's real? What are the risks involved? And in fact, where do I even get started? I know that some of you on the call today have already been experimenting with Gen AI, and others are still exploring it and how it might apply. Wherever you're at, today is about cutting through the hype and starting to get practical. We're joined today by Ram Veeramony, who's a strategist, a technologist, and someone who's been working at the coalface of AI in businesses for many years. Over the next sort of 20-25 minutes, Ram is going to walk us through a presentation around how organizations are adopting Gen AI safely, how they're being strategic with it, and how it's actually generating a measurable impact. So Ram, to kick us off, let me hand over to you. What's behind the buzz, and how are Australian organizations actually starting to put Gen AI into action?
Good afternoon, Neil. Good afternoon, everyone. And thanks for the introduction. Yes, I will start off with the relevant topic that you called out, that everyone's talking about AI, right? There is a huge buzz in the market, and everyone wants a little piece of this AI game. And you are spot on when you say that Gen AI has transformed the way people look at artificial intelligence. I have been working with artificial intelligence for the last 25 years. And in this journey, from 2019 onwards, there has been a huge interest, huge adoption rate because of the advent of Gen AI. Gen AI, as you know, is a small subset of AI tools that are available. There are predictive models, there are data mining models, there is deep learning models, and then there is a specific nature of how you use AI that is known as generative AI. That is what is short formed as Gen AI, which can generate content. That's essentially what it means. That gave birth to ChatGPT, and ChatGPT is there in all our laptops, all our phones. So today, we can start off with probably looking at something really practical, right? What we want to do in this session is to make all the buzzword, all the clutter more practical and more clear for you to be able to adopt AI in your organization. So the first slide, which I want to talk to you all about, is a generic overview of how Gen AI is being adopted in Australia. What we have done is we have segmented the Australian industry into three parts: SMEs, which is organizations which have around about 50 million revenue or less than that; mid-market, about $500 million revenue or less than that; and enterprise, anything above the $500 million mark. That's how we have segmented the industry, and this is also how the Australian industry government bodies segment the industry as well. Looking at that, if you are an SME, what's happening is that there is a sense of urge to adopt. At the same time, there isn't a clear prioritization. So everyone wants to be on the AI bandwagon, but the priority is less than 50%, right? People are trying to get their businesses up and running, keeping their books up and clear. AI is coming to as a priority, as a second priority. However, the use cases that are being focused on with significant growth over the last quarter is content authoring. People are starting to use AI into marketing and other content authoring, customer service assistance, customer recommendations, and data analysis. So those who use AI have reported that there's a significant increase in revenue with AI because of the targeted, focused marketing that AI can do and fast turnaround time that it can provide in serving your clients. And there is a lot of intent, as I said earlier, for SMBs to adopt AI in the next year or so. In the mid-market, the story is completely different. There is a lot of adoption already. People are keen in taking up AI because the mid-market operates in a scale where there is an expectation of enterprise level delivery. At the same time, the workforce is not available to support that. So AI is a perfect fit for mid-market at this point in time, and people are looking at market intelligence analysis, draft proposal authoring, employee assistant. People are trying to asset internally before they can expose some of these AI tools externally. Regulatory compliance and risk analysis, process automation, these are some of the use cases. As similar to SMEs, there is a key growth potential in the way Gen AI is adopted in mid-market as well. And if you go on to enterprise, there is a different scale of operation in enterprise clients from when it comes to AI adoption. There is a huge top-down push on AI adoption. That top-down push means that the first use case that people are looking at is data analytics and operational optimization, like supply chain optimization, customer experience. So the entire value chain is being looked at from an enterprise point of view. And one important thing to note is that there are custom AI models that are being created by enterprise organizations to create their own data superiority. Now, having said that, there are ongoing challenges. We all know, we all deal with it day in and day out. Some of you whom we work with already know this. Data quality and integration is a big challenge. Your data is spread around different systems, different databases, different data sets. To bring it all together will give you the highest quality in AI output. Skills shortage. There are a lot of people who say they can do AI implementation, but there are very few who have real detailed experience of what it takes to do an AI implementation, which is safe, secure, and scalable for your organization. So there is constant skill shortage in the market, especially in Australia. That is where partnerships and managed services will help you. At the same time, it is important to upskill your employees to work with AI. Change management comes in there. So it is worthwhile investing in training and communications so that the workplace of the future can be a human plus AI workplace. With that, I will move on to the next slide, which kind of looks at how to take the technical jargon out of the discussion and put a business lens into Gen AI adoption. We are getting into a discussion as to how do I do it for my business? How do I look at it today? Many of the business owners are not AI specialists, and you don't have to be AI specialist or technology specialist. Or your managerial layer need not be AI conversant to start off. What you need to do is to look at it from a business lens. That is how the 4AI framework for business adoption was born, where we take the technical jargon out of it and look at it from how it impacts your business. So generative AI, which is hugely popular now, which all of us use, can do basically 4 things in your business. It can assist and augment. which is boost human capabilities with acting as a powerful assistant or a mentor. It can provide in-job assistance through voice-based assistance or through training, and it can help humans to make more informed decision making. That is where mentoring and assistance comes in. The second thing that AI can do today is it can analyze. It can look at your data sets and make sense out of it in the way humans can't. It can use its computing power and pre-trained knowledge and patterns to understand and sniff out some things that we might miss. That is where risk assessment, forecasting, strategic planning, these are areas where analysis capability of AI will work. And AI can also call other AI tools. It can call other traditional IT tools to give you automation capability. That's the third thing that AI can do today. And the fourth thing that AI can do is it can author. So if you think about AI's agency, AI agent or AI systems, these four things are what agentic AI can do. It can assist, augment, it can analyze, it can automate, it can author. It can create content which seems like new content. Keep in mind that all of this is possible today, and all of this have got entry points in which you can start off your AI journey. So start looking at AI from a business lens rather than from a technology lens. Think about your value chain. Think about put your value chain in a board and say, where can I add more assistance and augmentation to my existing workforce? Where can I use more analysis to serve my customers better? Where can I automate and remove some of the mundane tasks using AI with human decision making in the loop so that I can take human thinking away from mundane tasks and put them more into value adding tasks? How can I author draft content which humans can review, experts can review and send it across to your clients or internally as well? So that's how you might want to start looking at AI rather than looking at it as a technology toolkit. Keep this in mind when we go into some practical use cases in the next slide, where AI is being currently used for one of the assist and augment use cases that we spoke about in the previous slide. So here we are taking one particular stream there, a human plus AI assistant and augmentation, and looking at where do you start based on what type of organizations you are. So if you are a small and medium enterprise, and if your revenue is less than 50 million, or if you have got a lower size of employee strength, then you start off with some tools which are freely available in the market, as well as where you have to pay a minimal subscription fee. Something like Anthropic's Claude, which is a really good tool and which doesn't store data. It has got zero data retention policy, or the more popular version, which is ChatGPT's OpenAI, which all of you know what it can do. And use integration layers in the middle to talk to your existing landscape. You might be using QuickBooks, you might be using Xero, you might be using Microsoft Dynamics or Business Central or some other tool to run your business. You use something like Zapier to talk to those tools and ensure that you adopt rather than adapt. You adopt pre-built templates and create something simple to start off. So one of the examples is something that a client has done, and that is this toolkit is given as an example. You don't have to use the same. You can use what is applicable to your landscape. Approach is try to be out of the box as much as possible, minimal customization, subscribe, and keep your spend threshold limited. Remember, you are trying to introduce AI into your workforce and you're trying to get maximum out of it. That's what you're trying to do. That's how you start off. And this is a implementation, but there are a couple of steps before you do this that I will talk to in the next slide. If you are a mid-market organization, the tools are different. You will go more into the enterprise space because the mid-market organizations aspire to grow. And when you aspire to grow, you need to be ready to be an enterprise organization. That's why you need to use enterprise grade tools like one example, Azure's OpenAI service, Microsoft's Power Platform, CRM integration, and you can use a 4AI frameworks, audit, track, and governance platform. Right? And you need to provide specific customized user experience to your internal employees as well as your customers so that they are able to adopt the best of AI and rather than getting lost into an endless conversation with ChatGPT. So again, implementation approach is similar. Think about integration, think about auditing, think about monitoring, think about how you can deliver business value by targeting specific problems. The amount of spend you might want to look at is listed there. It could vary based on what you want to do, but you might want to start at that range and think about how you can get value out of your first implementation and reinvest it in something in the future. When you go to enterprise, it is really important to set off in a right level. You need to set up the platform properly. So you need to think about locally deployed large language models, the generative AI power engines, which are the LLMs, private cloud AI infrastructure. And you might want to think about using multi-hybrid agents, like you can use ChatGPT for one thing, you can use Claude for another, and Gemini, Google's Gemini for a different type of work. Each of these AI engines can do something specific. They've got certain capabilities. You might want to think about where do I use what. And from a 4AI framework perspective, you might want to put in enterprise grade 4AI frameworks, ATEST security framework, which we will talk to in a bit, and also create fine-tuned proprietary models, which are going to be your assets, your AI assets, right? The way you hone in employees, you nurture them over years. The same way you might want to create fine-tuned proprietary sovereign models so that you're not dependent on organizations like OpenAI to be able to deliver something for you. So the implementation obviously will be highly customized and more expensive as compared to a mid-market or an SME. However, you'll set yourself up for scalability later on. With that, what I will do is I will move on to the next slide, which is the things around technology. So here we spoke about the tools, the methodology, and the capabilities that you need to bring in to enable AI, which covers your basics, foundations, but you need to also think about other things. That's what the next slide is about, is how do I set up the whole AI platform so that it can give me success, right? As a guaranteed success from a capability perspective. So if you are aiming to implement AI successfully, you need to start off with these 4 steps, which are fine-tuned for your organization size. If you are a small and medium enterprise, you might want to start off with assessing your readiness. Maybe you're not ready for AI now. You might want to pick it up 2 years later. Maybe you're already 2 years behind and you might want to kickstart already and start gaining benefits out of it. And there can be some experimentation that you can do with subscription-based tools like ChatGPT Plus and Microsoft Copilot to figure out if you're a 5-member organization, you can very well try and use that. If you're 5 to 15 member organizations, you can very well set up ChatGPT Plus or ChatGPT Business for yourself so that you can contain your data and start carefully using it and focus on quick wins and ensure that you're able to audit, track, and measure what you do with AI. It's really important. The next one is if you are a mid-market organization, you might want to think about developing an AI strategy because you're setting yourself up to be a scalable enterprise, right? And then implement pilot programs. And that pilot program should be around AI platforms, setting up something that can scale. While doing that, build your internal capabilities and then scale your platform to do other things, which means that you are setting up everything around your core AI capability like security, data relevance, data protection, safeguards, all of those things in your core platform. And then you are adding business capability on top of it. If you are an enterprise organization, it is no different from a large transformation program, right? You might want to think about creating an AI center of excellence and then set up AI strategy, AI roadmap, and go into a pilot program. The key thing there is to establish robust AI governance. So there are 8 safeguards you must do in a minimum, right? At a minimum. And those are something that we will cover as part of a S8 guardrails discussion. Then you need to set it up for scale and deploy the solutions and monitor and scale it across your business. So it is no different from a large business transformation program, enabling AI in your enterprise organization. For all of this, there are some existing toolkits that you can use, which is either free or which comes with some amount of consulting involvement. So there are some toolkits which are enabled by the Australian government in the AI adoption tracker, which is where you can see what others are doing if you are an SME and how you can responsibly adopt AI. This is published by the National AI Center. And then you can go for a 4AI readiness assessment tool, which is something that Stoke can engage you with. If you're interested, you can contact the respective contacts in Stoke that you have, and they can organize some of these with you as a group or as individually as a business. Then start with low cost, trustable, safe AI agent selection. That is really important. Trustable and safe are the keywords because the what you expose to AI is like you are telling a secret out there in the public. So you need to ensure that you can trust the AI agent with which you're working, and it is safe to say what you want to say to it. For a mid-market, of course, there is a 4AI framework, which some of you are already using, those who are joining this call. And there are Australian AI ethics framework that the AI industry government organization has put up. Similarly, for large organizations, MIT from the US have set up a risk register, which is there are around 1,300 risks that organizations can track from an AI perspective in there. With that, I will move on to the last slide of the presentation. Then we can go into discussion and questions. Here we look at what's happening on the ground, right? How is adoption happening in Australia? This is coming through from several surveys and studies that were done by the government and other organizations in Australia. And you can see that AI adoption is happening throughout. Everyone wants to utilize the capability of AI to the maximum to ensure that there is more productivity and there is more efficiency in their business. Obviously, metros have got more adoption And certain states, especially in the Eastern Seaboard, have got a lot of adoption, whereas our Western counterparts are catching up, as well as TASI. You can see that there is a lot of focus on back office in terms of AI adoption. So the finance organization is adopting AI as much as it can in terms of forecasting and analysis, investment portfolio summaries, fraud detection, and tax and regulatory compliance. So people are getting AI to come up with a draft tax filing and recommendations. And then lot of them who are adopting, an overwhelming 90% have reported positive impacts to their organizations through AI implementation. It is through safe, guided AI adoption. There is also a lot of interest from other sectors like industry, manufacturing, construction, professional services, finance, and food and retail. There's a lot of growth, and what is predicted is by 2027, in the next 2 years, most organizations will have AI as a staple, one or the other form. So the journey from now until the next 2 years will determine where you are in your AI adoption. It is not whether you want to adopt it or not. It's more about when you do it and how you do it, right? So when you do it is market determined. How you do it is entirely determined by you. That's where we will keep focus on the S8 pillars of AI guardrails. Ensure that you are able to keep this in mind while trying to adopt AI. Don't leave your AI alone. Keep an eye on it. So AI should always be supervised. And you need to keep safety on the top of your chart, right? It is important to understand what you tell AI and what you take out of AI. And is your data secure? Is your AI model secure? Who is the model talking to while you are interacting with it? And what kind of information is it? What kind of pattern is it learning? Especially some of the models do have a concept called RAG or embeddings, which kind of store data on top of the model to ensure that the answers that the model gives you are relevant to you. What kind of storage does the embedding layer or the RAG layer has of your data? And how can others access it? This is really important to know from a security perspective. And is your platform, is your AI implementation scalable? Do you have to keep on paying $30 every time you hire a new employee per month on AI, or is there a better way to do it? And remember that AI is not only utilizing our knowledge from a human resource perspective, thousands of years of human toil and knowledge is food for AI in its understanding. Apart from that, it's also using our resources to be able to serve this kind of analytics, this kind of understanding, this kind of draft authoring. So is your AI strategy sustainable for the future of our kids, right? Are they being trained in critical thinking? Is the new generation of employees being trained in critical thinking in your organization so that they can come up with new ideas which can feed AI? So AI will otherwise feed on its own understanding and go its own loop, right? That is a bit philosophical, but you need to think about those things and not forget your undergrads and not forget your new employees who join the organization, because they are going to take AI and our future forward. And you need to think about getting this AI implementation standardized and systematic. We can't get maverick implementations going on in your organization. We can't get cowboys coming in and choosing their own tools. We want to have a centralized common strategy, which is good for your business outcome rather than their own personal goals by using AI in one way or the other. And the last but not the least, many of you work with the Australian government, and Australian government has released VAISS, which is Voluntary AI Safety Standards, which means there is a recommendation for sovereign capability where possible. It is not mandated for SMEs and mid-market, but it will be soon for mid-market and enterprise when voluntary AI safety standards become more of a AI guidelines and auditable requirement.
Mm.
With that, I will stop the presentation and leave you with that thought. Keep S8 on top of your mind, but remember that this is an opportunity like never before. We can transform the way we operate. We can transform the business landscape as well as make the future of our kids secure by adopting safe and scalable AI. All you need to do is know your barriers to entry. The barriers to entry is extremely low in some cases. Know what it comes with, what's the cost of that barrier to entry, and operate accordingly. We are always there to help. You can always contact Stoke as well to ensure that you are well informed. So with that, I hand over back to you, Neil, for questions and any other discussion points you might want to go into.
Thanks, Ram. Every time I talk to you about this, I learn something new. I thought I knew a bit about AI, but clearly my intelligence is very artificial. So thank you for that sort of really sort of quick pace tour through what's real, what's risky. Can I encourage the people on the webinar to use the Q&A to ask any questions. So there's one question that's come through the chat, but if I can encourage you to direct your questions through the Q&A. But so I guess to kick things off though, Ram, let's get even more practical. I hear this a lot. Can't I just give some ChatGPT licenses, roll them out to the team, and we'll get some easy productivity uplift, right? That kind of feels low risk, but what's your view around that?
Yeah, I hear that a lot too, and that's the easy way, right? Everyone that's being pushed through by the marketing that comes along with ChatGPT. The key thing is, does it pass the S8 sniff test? Is it supervised? Is it safe? Is it secure? Is it scalable? Do you know? If you don't know, then rather not do it, right? Get some guidance, get some advice before you do that. So apart from that bit where you need to ensure that your data is scalable, you also need to worry about the cost impact. So once you tie yourself up to something like a ChatGPT subscription, you are actually scaling up based on a subscription per person throughout as your employee base grows, right? So that's another thing, the cost element. But the primary thing you might want to worry about is S8 sniff test. And if I present my analysis, none of these platforms pass that sniff test. They fail on multiple occurrences, especially the ones which are listed below, like the standardized, systematic, and sovereign. They fail that out of the box. And if you think about supervised and safe, most of these are not supervised. Once you enable ChatGPT or Claude for your employees, or Google Gemini for that matter, they can use it for whatever they want. And they can go into an endless loop of discussion with ChatGPT or Gemini, and that can adversely impact how your organization operates. Is it safe? Not in all occasions. If you are pasting your emails into ChatGPT to get a response that you can send back to your clients, then it's an unsafe practice. And it is not secure as well. So you might want to think about whether you are actually trying to do something logical there. So So from a scalability point of view, from a standardization point of view, from a sovereign capability point of view, safety, none of the S8 pillars are addressed when you do such a rollout. So I will advise that you don't do that before you do it. Get good recommendation and advice. Yeah.
Okay. Ram, you mentioned governance and change earlier.
Yeah.
How is change management in AI context different from what you'd be used to with, say, rolling out a new ERP system or sort of other sort of tech projects? What do we need to do differently?
Yeah, there is a significant change because such capabilities like AI is like, it's like electricity, right? It is something that is new and people don't understand it. There will be organizations which market it to be the big change, and it will light up your house, it will run your appliances, and there'll be fear mongers who will tell you that it will electrocute you, right? Both of this thing will happen. So if you think about, if you talk to anyone, they are in either of these camps. Some of them are fearful of AI, rightfully so. Some of them are overexcited about what AI can do. They think that they can just sit back and AI will do everything for them. So AI change management is about addressing this lack of maturity in understanding what this thing is. So you need to essentially think about your organization and how your employees are operating in your organization and guide them accordingly, right? So you might want to understand who are the fear mongers, who are the overexcited folk, and then guide them towards the middle point where you can align to your organization's business strategy in adopting AI rather than the other way around. It's not AI which guides it. You are in control, your organization in control. That's the whole change management exercise. And this is here to stay. When I say this, I'm not saying that AI will go away in the next 2 years. In the next 10 years, we will be operating in a totally different environment. There'll be AI joining such calls and interacting with us, AI avatars joining such calls and interacting with us sooner rather than later. It is going to be a human plus AI workplace. So it's all about ensuring that your employees understand that and they wholeheartedly accept it, and they work together with AI. And it's your responsibility to ensure that AI doesn't take over.
Okay, good. I'm going to switch now, Ram, to some questions that are coming through
Sure.
from the team. The first one is that I think you mentioned earlier on one of the earlier slides about why around productivity improvements, and Dan's asked a question around why do we expect a lower productivity improvement in enterprise compared to mid-size?
It is due to the complexity. It is the way AI is being seen as a panacea to all problems, right? There has been, I know one enterprise organization which is running 150 different AI programs as we speak, right? So there is an intent to somehow get into this AI gold rush and make it work. And in such complex, intertwined organizations, sometimes introducing such tool can be not necessary, right? Might not be necessary in a certain process. That's why you need to look at it from a business lens. When you look at it from an AI lens, and when I go for AI adoption, what you try to do is you try to push the technology into places where it can't fit. And when especially in large organization, when you do that, you are actually impending productivity. There is an organization which rolled out Gemini. I'm not taking one tool as an example, but yeah, it doesn't mean that it will improve productivity, or whether it is ChatGPT or Gemini. People can get lost into it and do less and hope for AI to work. The recent study, which is in the academic sphere, mentioned that if you give employees an AI vibe coding tool where they can talk in English and code, they're less productive, as in if you give them their normal IDEs where they can code using Java or whatever and produce a code because they know what to do, they follow a procedure, the AI takes them into a creative flow, a probabilistic path, and gets them down a rabbit hole. That's
Yeah.
why it's less productive. The more
Yeah.
complex you are, there are more chances to become less productive.
Okay. All right. Good. Ram, there's another question there from Robin, who's interested to hear how AI is primarily being used within engineering and professional services.
Yeah. So there are 3 or 4 use cases, and the most common use case is where of the assistant use case, assistant and mentoring use case. Usually engineering and professional services organizations have got a lot of data sets, right? Especially from their previous experience. None of us make an effort to make it standardized. And usually some of these engagements are extremely typical or idiosyncratic to the client that you're working with. There might be hidden patterns that you don't realize, or the people who offer that professional service don't realize. What AI can do is sit on top of these data sets and come out with common practices and streamline some of the workflows. So there is an AI mentoring capability, an augmentation capability, assist and augment capability that is quite popular. And the second thing that is popular is around uh, authoring of draft documentation, whether it is your reports, whether proposals, bids, anything. AI can author the draft in the format that you prefer. The third thing is understanding some of your specific engineering specific capabilities, like integrating into AutoCAD and understanding your existing uh, BIM diagrams and review it and come out with suggestions, or in some cases even create those as a draft. So thus such capabilities are quite popular and everyone is trying to utilize these.
Okay. I'm mindful of time.
Yeah.
So there's a few more questions here to get through.
Sure.
What so there's how do we integrate AI into our ERP? So they're talking about NetSuite as a particular use case to get the most out of it. We want to automate things like sort of manual data entry, et cetera, but also insights around sort of visualization of data. So how can we adopt AI in and around an ERP? I think you mentioned something around that during the presentation.
Yes. So AI has got capability to interact with any tool. The only thing is that you have to connect it to a tool. There is a concept called model context protocol. I don't want to go into the technicalities of it. So you can connect AI to any tool and use the APIs of NetSuite in this case to talk to different processes. So your order to cash process or your procure to pay process, your inventory management process, all of these processes, uh, whatever upload APIs that you use to get external data, the same APIs can be used by AI to extract data out of NetSuite and push data into NetSuite. But the thing that AI does, it extracts data out of NetSuite, analyzes it, and gives you insights and gives you the ability to act on it. For example, if you want to go through a quote, 3 quotes, and understand which one is best for you, AI can do that and then give you a recommendation based on which you can take a decision, and that decision can translate back into NetSuite into an award, right? Such things can be done using integration platforms that work with tools like NetSuite or Microsoft Dynamics Business Central or Odoo or Zoho or any of the ERP. So it's quite common that people do this, and whoever has asked that question, we can get in touch offline if you want to discuss further.
Okay. Here's a left field one. What are some of the most unexpected or unconventional use cases of AI that you've come across?
Unexpected, unconventional. Yeah, there is use case where people have analyzed what kind of mix of alloy that goes into their production of steel when it comes to improving the quality of the steel that is produced. Such use cases is actually hitting the core of your operations, and something that we couldn't have done like 5-10 years ago. Now AI has reached from a computing power where you can actually determine your core operations and understand your alloy mix of what goes into steel manufacturing or steel production. So that's so that you can be more profitable and come out with innovative products. So
you're into
such
that
use case, yeah,
you're into that real-time control almost.
exactly.
And getting into the whole sort of industry 4.0, 5.0 now, I guess, where that's headed, right? Yeah, good.
And there are many such, but this is something that wasn't top of my mind. So I thought.
Yeah. And there's another question that's come through. I'm a mid-range industrial organisation.
Yeah.
I've got very clever people, and they're hearing all the buzz about AI. And I know we've talked about this a little bit already, but I'm keen to give them time to use it, but to adopt this technology, but avoid getting distracted. Where do I start? And what happened? Like, is there a danger in sort of in delaying the start?
There is definitely there's no danger in delaying the start. You will just miss the bus, right? Everyone else would have done it. That is the real danger. Which means that you are probably losing on capability that somebody else, your competitor, has. That's the real danger now. Other than that, the key thing you need to do is you need to follow the procedure to adopt AI. You need to understand where AI makes sense rather than leaving a free rein to everyone. One good way to do that is to select 2 use cases. I would recommend selecting 2 use cases through the for AI adoption and come out with what use case has the highest business impact and the lowest cost or complexity for your organization. Take 2 use cases. One should be an assist and mentoring use case, which you can give to a subset of your employees. The other one has to be an automation and analysis use case with which you can actually see significant productivity gains in a flow of process, right? Something that takes 2 weeks should come down to 2 days or less. So if you can do these 2 use cases, that will give you clear insight on where you can put AI in your organizations and how you take that pathway forward. So measured, selective, and business-led. That's the key thing.
Yeah. Good. I'm very conscious of time, Ram, and there's more questions in there that we're not going to get the ability. We're not going to have the
we are
time.
happy to take it offline, and we can respond to it as a
Yes, and we can respond to them, and anything that hasn't been addressed, we can post responses on our website or through LinkedIn or through our blogs, etc. So actually, there's just one last point there that's just come through. Sean has just posted there. As a lawyer, we're using AI for case summaries.
Yeah.
Although you've got to be really careful. There was a recent case in the US where a lawyer was disbarred for relying on cases that AI had made up. Any observations, comments? One last comment around that. I think you've talked about that from the guardrails, right?
Yeah. Yes, it is. It goes back to S8 sniff test, right?
Yeah.
Where AI we know can hallucinate, like it can make up things. It's quite common knowledge now. It's all about ensuring that you, especially in this high impact areas like medical, legal fields, you need to ensure that the model that you use is very well trained. You can't rely on just embedded RAG-based models. I'm getting a little bit technical, but bear with me on that. You need to actually train the model on legal data sets and create a fine-tuned model that is specific to Australia, specific to your jurisdiction. So if you are in company law, you need a company law trained model. If you are in jurisdiction of domestic crimes, then you need a model which is specifically trained in that. so that it can give you something grounded and real. And you need to be transparent. You need to, every time you publish something which has got AI in it, you need to have a footnote which says that this was published by a human after review, but the initial draft was generated by AI, and there has to be a log, a systemic log of all interactions with AI, who interacted, when, what did I talk to AI, and what did AI respond back, at what point in time, and what did I do with it, whether I accepted it or changed it. So this log has to be maintained systemically. Only then release such a thing into your client domain.
Okay.
From an internal use case, you might want to use something. Yeah.
Yeah. No, very good. I'm mindful of time, Ram, and we really do have to wrap this up. And so this conversation could go on for days.
Yes, it does. Yeah.
But thanks to everyone who's submitted questions. Thanks for being part of the conversation. If there's one clear message that I've got from this, out of our session today, is that Gen AI is not just this shiny new tool. It's something that you can use as a strategic enabler. But to unlock the value, you've got to be quite deliberate about it. And it requires an intent that in strong governance and the right business-led roadmap. So if we can just sort of leave you with this thought, if you're keen to take that next step, whether it's identifying what's relevant for yourself, or building your roadmap, or sense checking your current approach, feel free to reach out. We're happy to share frameworks. There's some free tool assessments and stuff that are there as well, and sharing in the lessons that we've learned along the way. The video from today, the recording of today, will be available through our website sometime in the next week or so. So thanks again for your participation in today's webinar.
Thanks, everyone.